Today we want to continue to take a look at the area of a regular polygon. Remember that the formula is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. So looking at example number 6 here, we can see that we have a regular nonagon, which means that we have 9 sides. So I know that my n is equal to 9. And if it's inscribed in a circle, it kind of gives us the idea that we can find the central angle first, and then that'll help us find the angle inside of the right triangle here, angle KLM, and we can use that angle to find half of the side to then find the whole side. And then we can also find our apothem here, LM. So I know that I have to always find my central angle first. So if I want to find my central angle, and that is the angle KLJ, we're always going to take 360 divided by how many sides we have. So if I take 360 divided by 9, that's going to give me 40 degrees. Now that I know my whole central angle here is 40 degrees, I can find the little angle inside of my right triangle, angle KLM, by having that. So now I know that angle KLM is going to be half of 40, which is 20. So let's go ahead and let's pull out that right triangle here and make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And so here's LKM. We've got the length of the hypotenuse there, which is the radius, and we know that is 4. And we know that our angle KLM is 20 degrees. So we need to figure out what our apothem is. I'm going to call that A. And then I'm going to call half of our side here, KM. I'm going to call that X. So I know I need the apothem, and then I need an entire side to find the perimeter. So if I take a look at my right triangle here and my 20-degree angle, I've got the hypotenuse, and A is the adjacent side. So in my SOHCAHTOA saying, that would be the cosine. So I can go ahead and take the cosine of 20 degrees is equal to my adjacent side A over my hypotenuse 4. So then if I multiply both sides by 4, I now have the length of my apothem. So 4 times the cosine of 20 degrees is going to give me 3.7587. So my apothem is going to be about 3.76. Well, let's go ahead and continue using our SOHCAHTOA to find X. So now to find my side X, X is my opposite side, and again I have my hypotenuse. So if I have the opposite side and hypotenuse, that's the sine. So I can take the sine of 20 degrees is equal to my opposite side X over my hypotenuse 4. Once again, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. And I can find my value for X. So 4 times the sine of 20 degrees is going to be 1.368, so forth and so on. And just leave that number on your calculator. So 1.368. This is half of a side. For the perimeter, I need the entire side. So I want to find that length of KJ, the entire side, and I'm going to multiply this by 2. So then just hit times 2, and we get about 2.736. So KJ is going to be about 2.74. But this is only one of the sides. We need the perimeter. Well, if I have 9 sides, Then I can multiply this by 9, so my perimeter is going to be 9 times the 2.7 and change. So if I just left that on my calculator, I'm going to hit times 9. I get 24.625, so 24.63 is going to be my perimeter. Once I have my apothem and my perimeter, I can find my area. We know that area is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. And so if I'm putting this in my calculator, instead of using 1/2, I'm going to probably use 0.5 times 3.76 times 24.63. And that's going to give me about 46.3. And then it just says units, so it'd be square units. Let's take a look at another example. For number 7, now we have a hexagon, which means that we have 6 sides. So my n is equal to 6. And this time they give me the whole diameter is 32. And so if we take 32 and divide that by 2, we can see that our radius length is 16. Just like in the previous problem, if I have the radius length, I need the apothem, A, and I need half of my side, X. To do that, I want to find that top angle in my triangle. So let's find our whole central angle first. And we're going to take 360 divided by 6. And that's going to be 60 degrees. So if I want the angle inside of my right triangle, I know that I've got to take that and divide it by 2. And so that would be 30 degrees. Now, in this problem, you could use your SOHCAHTOA, but I can also use my 30, 60, 90 rules. I have the hypotenuse, and so I can easily find the short side, x, first, because I know in a 30, 60, 90, the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. So I have a hypotenuse of 16 is equal to 2x. And so if I divide both sides by 2, I get that my x is equal to 8. X is half of a side. So if I want a whole side, I'm going to multiply that by 2. So 8 times 2 is 16. And then if I want the perimeter, there's 6 sides here, so I'm going to take 6 times 16, and that's 96. So now all I need to do is find my apothem. Still using my 30, 60, 90 rules, my apothem is opposite the 60-degree angle. And so that means that I can use my other rule, and that is that long is equal to short times the square root of 3. So my long side is my A, my apothem is equal to, I just found out my short side, it's 8. So 8 radical 3 would be the length of my apothem. Once we have our perimeter and our apothem, we know that the rule to find the area of a regular polygon is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. And so once again, I would use 0.5 as my 1/2 times 8 radical 3 times 96. and that's going to give me 665.1. And again, I think it's just units, so square units. So both of these examples gave you the length of the hypotenuse, which was the radius, of your right triangle. Now let's take a look at a couple other examples. Number 8 here, notice that this guy actually gives me my apothem. I can see that right off the bat. My apothem is 6.5. And if I have two sides of my triangle, I just want to find my third side. So I'm going to call that x, and I can use the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to take x squared plus 6.5 squared is equal to 8 squared. And so I've got x squared plus 42.25 is equal to 64. Subtract that 42.25 from both sides. And so x squared is equal to 21.75. And take the square root of that. And so x is equal to the square root of 21.75. Which comes out to 4.66 and change. Now that's half of a side. So if I want the whole side, I need to multiply that by 2. So times 2 is going to give me about 9.327, so 9.33. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So my perimeter is going to be 5 times that 9.33. Which gives me about 46.65. And we might be off by a decimal point, depending on where we rounded to. Once I have my apothem and my perimeter, I can go ahead and plug that into my formula, 1/2 apothem times perimeter. So we're going to take 0.5 times 6.5 times 46.65. Which is going to give us about 151.6. And let's go ahead and try one last problem, a second one here in example number 8. Now let's first count up the number of sides here, starting with the 7. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know that I've got 10 sides. So my n is 10. And I can find the perimeter right away. I can see that one side has a length of 7. So I've got one side is equal to 7. And if there's 10 of them, then my perimeter is going to be 10 times 7, which is 70. So we've got that right off the bat. What we need is the apothem. So let's draw a right triangle, and I'm going to go ahead and draw one straight down. So we know that I have a right angle. If my whole side is 7, then half of my side is going to be, half of 7 is 3.5. And I don't know what my apothem is, so I'm going to call that A. And now I've got to use my central angle again. So let's find our whole central angle, which is always 360 divided by n. So 360 divided by 10 is 36. But we want the little angle inside of our right triangle. So for our right triangle angle, we divide that by 2, and 36 divided by 2 is going to give me 18 degrees. So we know that this top angle here is a little tiny angle of 18. So let's take a look at the sides that we have. We've got our opposite side, 3.5, and our adjacent side. So that would be the tangent. So we can go ahead and say the tangent of 18 degrees is equal to my opposite side, 3.5, over my adjacent side, A. Now remember, when A is in the denominator, we're going to put our tangent over 1 and cross multiply. And that's going to give us A times the tangent of 18 degrees is equal to 3.5. So to solve for my A, I have to divide both sides by the tangent. So we're going to divide by the tangent of 18. Divide by the tangent of 18. And 3.5 divided by the tangent of 18 degrees is about 10.77. Once again, I have my perimeter of 70 and I have my apothem of 10.77, so I can easily find my area. Area equals 1/2 apothem times perimeter. And so my area is going to be equal to 0.5 times 10.77 times my perimeter of 70. And that's going to come out to 376.95. So just a few more examples of finding the area of a regular polygon.